And I have a feeling our next guest could end up being the MVP of the show today because we have so much to get to on the Miami Heat, and she can provide a lot of insight on that. From Clutch Corner, Allana Tachauer joins us here on Donno Daily on 5 Reasons Sports. And as you see there on her header, she is the first lady of 5 Reasons. Allana, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Excuse the unusual headphones. My AirPods don't really work. So this is what we're working with, I guess, during free agency.
Hey, it's not so bad. I haven't even adopted AirPods yet. Like, I'm a late adopter on pretty much anything. So in 5 years, I'm going to find some AirPods. We'll have already moved on to the chip in the head by then. But in 5 years, I'll say, I found some AirPods for $30. Let me try these out. Now, Allana, we talked about it to start the show. I think this is going to be a really fun week and a really active first day of free agency for the Miami Heat. Do you have any doubt that Kyle Lowry is on the way in? Because I don't want to take it for granted, because I've been talking today like it's already a done deal. So many reports, including from our very own here on 5 Reasons, are essentially saying Lowry is coming in. Do you have any doubts that this gets done?
No, I think it's as good as done. Please don't hit me with any tampering fines. But I don't think that Heat fans have anything to worry about.
Oh, man. Now, how much better do the Heat get with Lowry on the floor? Because even at 35, I think he still has it. He can shoot 3-pointers at a very high clip. And also, he's been dying to play with Jimmy Butler. So I think there's going to be a lot of chemistry there on and off the floor. Even if it comes with a high price tag, I think this is a great deal for everybody.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know people like to kind of harp on the age, and I am one of those people. But at the end of the day, I do think he's going to still move the needle on some degree. At some level, I think he's going to make Jimmy and Bam way better. I think, to your point, it's not only about the X's and O's. He really wants to be here, and I think that goes a longer way than a lot of people give it credit for. I think that on-court chemistry is super important. I don't think that's the only move that we should be making. We still have to keep in mind that we have to go through the Nets and we have to go through the Bucks, but I think people should be all in on this. I think people should be excited, and I'm sure Jimmy and Bam are going to be.
Yeah, somebody, Welch writes in on the chat, Allana will be bummed if Duncan is back.
Okay, this is a narrative that started because of Michael Christian, and I am going to get him later on tonight because we're recording Feel the Heat. A new episode will be dropping tomorrow, but there's some narrative going around that I hate Duncan. I do not hate Duncan. I called him one-dimensional at some point. I have been proven wrong. We'll see if he comes back. But Welch, we need to get rid of this.
Now, what about another player who I do not think is back? And as far as I'm concerned, shoot him to the other side of the galaxy. I mean, he is a free agent. But what do you think happens with Victor Oladipo?
I would be shocked if we bring him back. And again, I know people think that I don't want him. I know we did kind of a stream on the trade deadline, and I visibly was not happy to have gotten him. I just think his injuries have gotten the best of him. I don't think that he's someone we should take a chance on again. I know there's people who want him back, and for the right price, I guess it would be worth it. I think he played 3 or 4 games for us and he looked decent. I just don't have confidence that his injuries won't be a problem moving forward. It's unfortunate for him, but I think at this point we are on Jimmy's timeline. We need to win now. So I don't really want him back.
Now, a player we were 99.9% sure is on the way out, but I love this player so much, and I wish him the best. This is like when you're in like a really good breakup where like you want the best for the other person, even if you can't be together anymore, and that's Goran Dragic. I mean, he's going to end up being part of this Kyle Lowry deal. But then where things get complicated, and this is a little bit above my head and above my pay grade is, so if Dragic ends up getting sent to Toronto as part of this deal, Toronto could then deal him again. That might not be his final landing spot. So where do you think Dragic could or should wind up when the dust settles?
I think he should be in Dallas. I think everyone can agree that he would be thrilled there. He deserves to be happy. I know I've been very critical about Heat Twitter. They've been doing Goran so dirty. I know he didn't have a great season, but let's not forget that if he were healthy in the bubble, we probably would have taken the title. He's given so much to the organization. We needed a bright spot, after the big 3 fell apart and Chris Bosh went out with blood clots. And I just don't think people are giving him the credit that he deserves. I want him to be happy. I want him to find that happiness in Dallas.
Yeah, same here. And they can make little Slovenia there in Dallas,
Mhm.
and it sounds like a good time. And it's like I get sad, Alana, because I see these photos today of Goran. He's back home in Slovenia, and he's
Mhm.
walking around wearing a Jimmy Butler t-shirt. So it's just like, oh, I want Goran to be happy, and I want the best for him. Another name that's being pretty strongly linked to the Heat. I don't think this is as likely, or not quite as likely as Lowry, but Lowry's former teammate DeMar DeRozan. And anytime he's mentioned, because he doesn't shoot threes, doesn't like shooting threes, people start to panic about the floor spacing
Mhm.
dynamic. How much would that concern you if DeRozan were to arrive?
I'm not as excited about DeRozan as everyone else. I think that is a problem. But the other problem for me is that we're just small. And that can work for some lineups against some teams. But I think for that to be kind of the way that we're going into the season on a nightly basis kind of worries me a little. With that said, I think he wants to win, and I think he'd be willing to do what it takes to do that. I also think that if any coaching staff can kind of mold a player to fit their offense, it is the Miami Heat's. So I think if we get him, I'm less worried once he's actually here that things will pan out. I just don't know how excited I am about that. It really just depends on if he's willing to take that mid-level exception or not.
Other names we see linked to Miami, Rudy Gay, who I do like, Nick Batum, who I also like getting linked. Do you see a lot of smoke there? What is the likelihood that one of those guys could land here?
Yeah, I think both Gay and Batum, although Batum seems to be picking up a little bit more speed, have been definitely linked to us. I'm not big on Batum. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I was actually scrolling through Twitter yesterday and I was trying to find like one other person who agrees with me there.
Ooh.
I don't see it as the culture fit. I find him kind of soft. I also think he's injury prone. So I'm actually not in on Batum. Again, I trust the front office. If he comes, I will support, but I could do without him.
I've noticed every time we're talking Heat on this episode, the chat goes crazy asking about centers, about big man. And you mentioned this lineup being kind of small. So what options, realistic or otherwise, could you see as big men who could wind up here?
I know that Drummond keeps coming up, and he's been linked to the Heat for about 2-3 seasons now. But I would rather be small than have Drummond personally. Someone was floating around the idea of Hassan coming back. That's just not happening. I actually was not a Hassan hater. I just think he's kind of an overgrown child, and I just love him for who he is. But I don't want him back. So I don't really know what to do about the center problem. I want Dedmon to come back for sure. I know he's not going to be the solution, but I think the way that he slipped in immediately and made an impact, I don't think that should go overlooked.
Allana Tachauer from Clutch Corner is with us here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. If the Heat have as good of a free agent period as I think they're going to have, because Lowry seems pretty much done, and if they were to add someone like a Rudy Gay or a DeMar DeRozan, even if you and I may not be as high on him as some people, where do you think that shifts the expectation for next year? Do you think the Heat are going to enter next season as Eastern Conference Finals or bust, second round or bust? How do you think we're going to judge them expectation-wise?
I think that Heat fans are going to have very high expectations. And I, to be honest, think that's kind of the issue that we've had lately. I think fans are putting such unrealistic notions on not just the team, but specific players. I think Tyler Hero is a great example of that. I still see us only being maybe third or fourth in the East. Now, obviously, it depends what other teams do. I think Greg keeps making this point that it's really hard to judge the East as a whole until free agency is over because we don't know what other teams are up to. I also just want to keep in mind the trade deadline still exists. So who we start the season with may not be who we end the season with. I think people are just in such a rush to get something done now that they're forgetting that.
The Los Angeles Lakers stole a lot of the headlines late last week with the acquisition of Russell Westbrook. I'll always point out, hey, LeBron just needs more and more help. I'm a Team Petty guy. Forgive my pettiness. But what do you think the expectation is for the Lakers? Should they be championship favorites heading into next year?
Yeah, I think so, to be honest. And I'm a huge Phoenix Suns supporter. I think that last year was a little bit wonky. The Lakers should have taken it. I don't see them having any problem in the West. The Suns are great, but I'm not sure that they could have done it again if the circumstances were different. I like Russ in LA. I know people are saying it's not a good fit and they're just kind of chasing big names, but I don't know. The thought of him and LeBron playing together, at least, in from a personality standpoint, kind of excites me. I'm still a LeBron fan, so I wish them the best in the West.
Now, I don't know if you were part of this, but I noticed like a week or two ago, some of the personalities on 5 Reasons came together for like a review episode of the Space Jam movie, Space Jam 2. And of course, being Team Petty, I had to bring this up. Even my 3-year-old son hated the movie. Like he will never be a LeBron fan after watching that. It's got like a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. Did you watch the movie? Were you a part of that review?
I was in the comments. I did not jump on, but I did watch the movie. Okay, there's no comparison to the original, obviously. And LeBron's acting was horrible, but at the same time, it's meant for kids. Your kid, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I thought most kids liked it, but I just think we're holding him and just the entire franchise to too high of a standard. But yeah, I mean, there's no comparison to the original.
And my kid is a tough crowd. I shouldn't base on that because, like, okay, my son's name is Luca, and he didn't like the movie Luca. Like, it wasn't because we had told him it was Disney, and he's like, "Where's Mickey?" Like, he didn't understand how the kid is a sea monster, like who, spoiler alert, who turns into a human being when he walks on land. So it's probably not the best barometer. But I appreciate your time. You guys want to make sure you follow Allana. What's the Twitter handle so people know exactly where
just
you get
Allana Tachauer, Tachauer, and we will be doing a lot of content this week, so definitely follow along.
Good stuff, Allana. Thank you so much, and we won't be strangers. I hope we don't bother you too much because we'll definitely want to get you on the show.
Bother me away. Hopefully next time I'll have a little bit better of an audio situation. But I appreciate your time.